Hey, everybody, this is Chuck for the Turnkey 365 podcast. I am thrilled to have with me Anthony Bonaduce from Cosmos today. They have got a new product, but an amazing product. It's the kind of thing that is kind of just blowing everybody's doors off. 30 reports in 30 minutes. Folks, if you're in the ERP world, that is not the kind of thing you're used to hearing. 30 reports in 30 minutes. I've even heard them say they can run reports 48 times faster than Excel. Boy, if we were in different companies, somebody might, call something or other, but I don't think that's the case. I've seen it, and I want to hear more about it and show you. Anthony, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. Honestly, I'm super excited to be here. I mean, as I've told you, I've watched your podcasts, your snippets on social media. I mean, you are definitely the highest quality production podcast I've seen in the channel, at least, as far as I'm concerned. So I think it's fantastic, and I've been excited to hopefully get to be on here with you. So thanks for having us.
Well, thank you. I'm blushing, but what's most important is that we're going to be able to teach some people new stuff. That is what I'm really after. We can help them to really understand, that ERP is not this great big scary monster, that you can realize real benefits, and that's really what I'm after. And I think that's what we can get with Cosmos. I really do. So let's talk about what people are living now. All right, let's talk about the before and after. How are folks creating reports now? Say for month end close.
Yeah, it's actually unbelievable. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. Our founding team has been doing nothing but helping folks with reporting, analytics, and data management for 35 plus years, right? And I mean, you'll see companies of all shapes and sizes. And I'm not saying every company falls into this bucket, but I think in Microsoft, in our space, we see so often the month end close process is just the most manual, convoluted, just repetitive, I call it kind of the copy and waste type process, right? It, go into your ERP, run an account schedule, dump out the account schedule, run it for each company, dump it into Excel, take all of those, consolidate together, copy, paste, all this stuff. And, when next week's is due or next month's or whatever, next quarter, it's just the same painful process. I mean, we hear stuff all the time. I spend a week doing this, right? Every time we have to do it, I spend 40 hours, whatever. And I'm not saying every customer feels that or does the same thing, but the reality is it's typically not efficient, right?
hmm
You've either got some combination of, like I said, account schedules, you've got reports maybe your partners have built in, your ERP directly, you're again just dumping stuff into Excel. I mean, it's a bit of a manual process, and I don't know why companies of all shapes and sizes will limp through it. And it's such a better way to do it, right?
Yeah, and it's funny. We're recording this. It's February 2nd. Happy Groundhog Day, everybody.
Absolutely.
We're just coming out of that period in January that we hear when we talk to CFOs and we talk to accountants, we talk to the financial folks. Don't talk to me in January. I've got to do year end close, and I've got to get my 1099s, and I've got to get my W-2s out, and I just come back to me in February. Sometimes they say, come back to me in March. I have to
Yep.
prepare for audit. I have all these things that I have to do. This is that time of year. And clearly that rings true, certainly in the reporting aspect, but of course there's a whole lot more to it than just getting the reports out. But clearly that rings true. This is the time of year when they need to save as much time as possible. Ain't no
Yeah.
doubt. So tell me, how did this all come about? I mean, I've got a little video to run in the background while you tell everybody, but tell me about the genesis of Cosmos.
Yeah, so good question. So we've been, like I said, in this space for 35 years. And in our, past life, we worked at a large reporting and analytics company that was focused on Microsoft Nav, and
hmm
GP to some regard, but mostly Microsoft Nav. And what ended up happening is me and actually one of my other founders left that company, went to work at a partner, and built out an analytics reporting practice. It was a couple $1 million a year practice that we grew because of the demand for those types of solutions. But even when we were implementing, three, four, five different tools, there was just so many kind of things you'd see and go, why has no one fixed this? Right. The most basic example is, you've got a cloud ERP in Business Central Cloud. That's where Microsoft's pushing. That's where the momentum is going. That's what everyone's moving to. And there's no solution built for it. There's no cloud reporting tool, no cloud analytics solution. The company I worked for previously, right? Everything was on prem. And so it would muddy the message to partners that partners would say, I should say, to their customers to say, hey, go cloud, embrace cloud, but also you still need some sort of server to run all your reports and your reporting tools. I mean, it just didn't laminate. And so that was one that was staring us in the face. And, we just kind of said, hey, there's a better way to do this. And we can align more closely with partners and with Microsoft and with customer demand for cloud. So that's kind of where Cosmos came to be.
Very cool. Very cool. So that's how you came to be. And you're talking about essentially you've got a better way. There's no doubt about it. I've seen it. And tell me about it. Let's tell the folks, how is it that Cosmos is solving the problem in a better way?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many aspects to this. In fact, I knew you would probably ask something like this, and I found myself driving the other day and just kind of thinking in my head about it, right? Because um, I could sit here and talk about technology. I could tell you we have a better mousetrap, which we do, right? But everyone says that. On the other
Sure.
hand, though, I think, yeah, exactly. And I think on the other hand, one of the things that bothers me that has become so diluted in our space is another big demand lever for what we're doing was getting back to a level of customer service, support, responsiveness that is missing with a lot of the tools at least we worked with. And so, when we built this company, our DNA, our core values was to have a fantastic product. That's obvious. And if we can't build that after 35 years of experience and, building what people ask for and incorporating what the partners want, then that's a failure on us. We knew we could get that one right. The thing we really wanted to stress as well was just taking care of people, right? I'm sure you felt it obviously with your team from us, but anyone that's worked with myself or Brian Peterson or the other folks that have founded Cosmos, that like we're those weird people that respond to your email within minutes, that pick up your phone call every time you call, right? And same thing with our customers. I mean, you look at our case studies, you look at reviews, it's not uncommon to hear we've never seen this level of support ever. And that's the thing, that everyone claims they have great support. Proofs in the pudding on that, but our reputation around that is starting to spread. So I would say it's the support and service we provide, it's the easy to work with vibe we want to give off, and then obviously a fantastic solution. I mean, the solution is cutting edge technology, it's all laminated with Microsoft, it's modern, it's lightning fast. That was another huge pain point in the channel, was on-prem tools trying to report against cloud data sources. When you have to pass that data back and forth across the web, it's slow, right? It's inherently slow. And so we wanted to make sure we're up in the cloud talking to cloud so that performance is super snappy, and that it just solves the challenges modern workplaces are facing, right?
That's awesome. And really that's what it's about. I mean, the ERP world is facing this big daunting project, and
Mhm.
let's face it, it's something that if they could avoid it, they would avoid it, right? It's a
Yep.
massive investment, it's massive to upkeep, but when you get into it, if the user experience isn't fantastic, if you aren't able to save time in what you're doing and generate that additional ROI,
Yep.
then
Yep.
honestly, it just comes back to bite you and everybody just grumbles, right? So
Yep. Yep.
that experience has to be amazing. And I love when folks bring a tool that can take what is an amazing platform that really is almost a blank canvas in a lot of ways. In this case, Microsoft Business Central, you can bring that extra wow factor, that extra incredible user experience, and say, clearly there's improved ROI and that I can get my reporting done a lot faster, which frees them up to do other more, valuable tasks. So there's a couple of things, we talked about in prep. We talked about some of the things that when the folks are doing this, what they have to give up, what they have to stop. Um, so they have to, when they run those reports in, say, another reporting solution, okay, they're, they have to stop so they can do any number of things like proofreading. Okay, so
Mhm.
what does that look like? What do they, you're talking about this running in the cloud. You're talking about it running independently. What are they normally doing when that in that painful reporting process that takes up all their
Yeah, and are you
time?
saying specific to when reports are running and updating and things like that?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big challenges we wanted to solve, right? And we saw this a lot in our past life when we worked, like I said, with a different reporting and analytics platform, was Excel-based reporting tools almost exclusively run inside of Excel. Makes
Okay.
sense, right? You're
Yeah,
building a
sure.
report in Excel, you're running the report in Excel. Well, the problem with that is, as I mentioned, performance comes crashing down when you're using these, on-premise tools against cloud data sources. Well, those Excel tools tie up Excel.
Hmm.
So now you're telling a finance and accounting person, right? Yeah, I know your report takes 40 minutes to run in this other product. So just don't use Excel for 40 minutes. And they're like, that's what I use all day long. That is my platform for
Yeah.
success, right? And so, we design things to run outside of Excel. So the input, you create it in Excel. It runs in an engine in the cloud. The output goes back into Excel. But that means that they can run one report, 50 reports. It's not occupying Excel. And also, most of those tools that you mentioned, I mean, you can't run the next report until the first report finishes. It just gets batched up. And so, it might be this report's going to keep you out of Excel for 30 minutes. This report's going to keep you out for 45 minutes. This one's going to keep you out for 15 minutes because you need to run 3 reports. Again, because we built this engine from the ground up, because it's in the cloud, the resources can scale up and down based on the needs the customers, querying the system for. And so you can run 10 reports at the same time. Not only are they going to run faster, they're not going to tie up Excel, but report one doesn't have to finish before report two starts. They're all running concurrently. And so we just give users, a lot more flexible access without locking them out of systems and just letting them do their job, right? Spend less time waiting on reports, more time analyzing data, being strategic, so on and so forth.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about the workers, okay, so Excel's tied up. I'll go get coffee. I'll go socialize. Those are all fine things to do, but you don't want to have to be forced to. It's, at these, throughout the day, at some point, you feel like you got to get work done and you're just like, God, I wish I was getting work done.
Yep.
I want to go home today. And so,
Yep.
that I imagine that's the frustration that folks are experiencing. I know if any one of my tools was locked up for some period of time running in parallel, I'd probably be insane about it. But,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
we talked about speed, and, how much faster can it be? I mean, really?
Yeah. So our big claim to fame, right? What lit our hair on fire, and we've got data to support all this, but we did some benchmarking against other common names you're going to hear when you're looking for reporting and analytics tools that are Excel based in the Microsoft space. And on average, we saw a 48 times improvement on performance. So, a report would run in 36 minutes in one of the other tools, and it would take 16 seconds in Cosmos, right? And so, I mean, that's a substantial amount of time, and that's the average, right? So when we talk about larger reports, multi-paginated reports, things like that, I mean, we saw 102 times faster, stuff like that. I mean, those types of data points. I mean, we'll tell people that on a call. We'll say 48 times faster. We'll show the slide and they'll go, oh, 4.8 times faster. We go, no, 48 times faster, right? And so that's what really, I think, when we sent that message out through the channel, partners started going, oh, what is this? Like, let's take a look at this, right? And so that's kind of what lit our hair on fire.
Yeah, and Cosmos is a relatively new company, so
Mhm.
new companies come out of the chute and they can make these claims, and you don't really have anything to back it up. Turnkey Technologies in Missouri, that's the show me state. We definitely want to
Yep.
see it, and
Yep.
you have shared with me a case study where
Yeah.
you actually have the proof, and I love this. I love the quote here. It's like punching the easy button. I mean, we all know what the easy button is. We all know who popularized the easy button. You're not allowed to use the easy button, but your customers are
Yep.
certainly allowed to say it, and it certainly delivers, volumes of feelings about early success stories. How long has Cosmos been around?
So Cosmos, we launched the product commercially. I want to say it was around June or April of last year. So it was, we made our formal announcement at Directions, launched it commercially. But product's been around for a little over a year. Oh my gosh, it's February. So actually, yeah, a little bit over a year. Time is flying, which is crazy. Seems like it goes faster every year. But yeah, it's been around a little over a year. And I always just kind of joke, right? New product, old dogs, right? It's at the end of the day, the product's going to get older as time passes. Our experience and knowledge has been there for, like I said, long, long time. And it's been so fun to do something new, something the market's been waiting for. So,
Well, when I read this case study, when I listen to what you're talking about in terms of service, in terms of having the data to back it up, and
mhm.
all this information, it sounds like a mature company, though. I mean, but clearly
Yeah.
there's mature in age, and then there's mature in your product and your capabilities and the way you conduct yourself. And clearly, for such a young company, you're coming out of the chute like a champion racehorse, and that's pretty amazing. So the proof's in the pudding on case studies. I mean, I'm an ROI guy. How long does it take to pay for itself?
God, I mean, if you think about the stories we talked about around people spending a week, a month, right, doing these closing processes, I mean, that right there is going to pay for itself. If you think about the cost, I mean, honestly, I don't. This is one I could go on for way too long. We don't have time to dig into all this, but like a couple examples, right? When I was on the partner side, there were multiple occasions where for a single Power BI dashboard or report, we billed the customer 40 hours at about 250 an hour, $10,000 report. It's more than the entire product costs by a lot, right? So you see those examples all the time. I've had partners bring us, an opportunity with one of their customers and kind of tell the customer, like, I know you needed this, so we had to do it, but just a heads up, we spent 80 hours on this, these two reports they needed or this one report, right? I mean, it is so easy to justify because again, it's self-service reporting. You buy a platform, you invest a little bit of time, the training's free, you don't even have to worry about that, right? But you get in there and you just start creating reports. And again, I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point, but one of the things people love is that it's not a blank canvas. There's pre-built data models behind the scene. There's 30 reports, you're up and running with them very, very quickly. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But that's the beauty of it. It's so simple to justify, it. And if you want to go broad strokes, there was a study published by Harvard Business Review recently that said companies that embrace a data-driven culture experience a 4 times improvement in revenue and better customer satisfaction. I mean, what else do you need to hear?
Not much. Not much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the one hand, I love the blank canvas because so
Mhm.
often we get a solution and it's limited by its functionality. And
Yep.
we get boxed in the minute we want to, function as like a mature organization, like we discussed about Cosmos a minute ago. We're locked in because of the limitations of our technology. A blank canvas application allows for that future expansion, and you don't have to do it all at once. But by the same token, a blank canvas requires that upfront investment in time, potentially capital, and definitely resources. So
Yep.
you going into that, structured solution will certainly get you up and running more quickly. And as I said, it's not just ROI. I mean, as important as that is to me, it's really time to value. I could get all my return on investment. It could take me 25 years. I say that all the time. And that's just not going to make your stakeholders very happy. They want to see their time to value. They want to know that this thing is paid for. And now we're already have people out doing more valuable things at this point. So that's the benefits of that, data structure, that structured app are really, I love them, especially when it's built on top of essentially what is a blank canvas platform, which makes it
Yes.
even better. And that really leads me to, my next question. We talked about it in prep, but tell me about some of the other advantages of Cosmos.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of different directions you can go on this question. I mean, one is like you talked about advantages, time savings, productivity increase, but there's also those intangibles, right? Like, what do you want data for? People in theory should want data to not just see what happened, but also look forward. Where are there opportunities for the business? What's selling? Should we invest somewhere else? Do we have the ability to expand? Should we expand? Where should we expand? All those different things. So being able to make actual data driven decisions is a massive benefit. But if we think about more kind of granular, just for our space in Microsoft, I mean, some of the benefits there are it's cloud, right? It lets you move toward that cloud first approach that so many organizations want to get to and haven't had the means to do, right? We talked about this, right? It's performant, right? It's the ability to just do your job, less time building reports, more time analyzing data, right? I mean, there's so many different things. And I'm sure, again, we'll talk about it, but Cosmos isn't just financial operational reports in Excel, it's dashboards, it's analytics, it's the ability to analyze large volumes of data, spot trends at a glance, all those things that matter. And so, to me, you can tell by the way I talk about it, it's an area I'm passionate about. It's an area I choose to work in. The reason I do is because you see quotes like that. It's like pushing the easy button. These are tools that make a massive impact at a business. No one buys a reporting tool and says like, that was all right. It's usually like, oh my God, I can't believe we used to do it the other way.
Yeah,
You know?
sure. Yeah, especially when they're coming from, when we talk to customers, they're coming from sometimes they're not doing reporting tools. They're
Yeah.
hamstrung and they may be in
Yeah.
multiple locations and they have to consolidate manually outside the system running Excel and
Yep.
all of these different things. And of course, this is the benefit of going to a truly cloud ERP where you can do this, take care of all of your locations, even your multiple entities, and then consolidate under one. And that's, clearly the benefits. And you're now not going outside the system once again.
Yep.
Now you have time that you can use spend on higher value activities for your customers, employees, and stakeholders, which I always love. So tell me more. Tell me more about those advantages specifically. So
Yeah, I mean, again, can dig into his. I mean, I got all day, Chuck. So be careful what you ask for here, because I can
I'm
sit here
in.
and talk about this all day. But no, I mean, I think productivity in the reporting space is so bizarre because people will limp by. I mean, you think about ERP, there's a lot of partners that will tell you people aren't buying ERP for ERP. They're buying ERP because it's a data repository and they need to get the data out, right? Like folks either get it or don't. But what I've always said is like ERP reporting is a checkbox. If you think about, I've worked with a lot of ERPs, I'm sure you have as well. If you think about ERP reporting, they're not going to sell that thing if they say it does no reporting. So they all have some capacity of reporting, but it's not what business users want. They're not going to go in and write SQL code to create reports, right? I mean, they're just not going to do that. And so, I often wonder, when we think about the benefits of these tools, like, do people even know they exist? Because to your point, there are people doing it manually, doing it just the most difficult way possible. And you're almost like, I mean, do they know there's a better way to do this? Right. But yeah, anyways, reporting is just one of those things that pays for itself. It's we've talked about all the reasons why, and there's better ways to do it. It's just it blows my mind that you know I've seen large businesses. We worked in my past life with some really large companies that were still just limping by on reporting. I mean, it was like we have 8 people just cobble together manual reports. With Cosmos, you don't have to do any of that. I mean, I think Dave from the case study said it well. Push the easy button. These reports are refreshable. You build them once, format them, get them looking how you want, push the run button, and let the data update in seconds. And there's your month end close.
Yep. So, we're talking about other solutions. We're talking about they don't even know that that this is a possibility. What is the platform on which this is built, right? So this is specifically for
The product itself, as far as who it's built for, Business Central. So
Business
Business
Central.
Central cloud users. Yep, that's the plan right now. Now, one of our initiatives this year will be rolling this out for additional data sets. We want to give users the ability to either use it independently with a different data source or to take data and consolidate it into our data warehouse or our data mart behind the scenes. That will give folks, that true holistic view of their business. But right now, we launched this thing specifically for Business Central Cloud. I mean, I don't shy away from that. That was a strategic decision that was based on market feedback, based on what the partners asked for, what users were asking for. And the reason that's so important is because anytime you're built specifically for something, you're going to have more, synergy. You're more laminated with that solution. I mean, you log into Cosmos with the same credentials you log into Business Central with and your other Microsoft applications. Just one less set of things to think about, have to store passwords. It's integrated with Microsoft, right? And Microsoft has taken very kindly to it. I mean, we're receiving a good chunk of funding towards our development every year from Microsoft now, which is fantastic.
Well, that's amazing. So that integration you're talking about single sign-on. How else is it integrated into BC?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I can't remember if we're going to talk about this or not, but I might give away a little bit here. One of the things when you're built specifically for a system like Business Central is it means you understand the tables, the fields, the structure, the things people care about. And so it's allowed us to have pre-built content on the back end of our product and the front end of our product. And I'll talk about what those mean. So back end is going to be the data management aspect, right? Taking the data from the ERP, putting it through a data cleansing process, distilling it down into only the data that users actually care about for reporting. And so because we know how people use BC and how they used its predecessor, Microsoft Nav, we're able to build this pre-built structure. We know 99% of what they want for sales and finance and inventory and AP and AR. And so, like we talked about earlier, that just comes out of the box. Of course, it can be customized. Like you said, it's a pre-built templatized solution with a blank canvas when it comes to customization. We can access any table, field, ISV tables, whatever. from the customer's BC instance. But we give so much of that pre-built because we're built for Business Central Cloud. On the front end of the product, that's going to be your reports, your dashboards, things like that. And we have dozens of dashboards and reports that just come out of the box. Every tool has some pre-built reports and dashboards, but if you're built agnostic or you're built for, nav and not Business Central, those don't work. You run them against BC, they don't work. They were hard coded with different, accounts schedules, or with different company names, or different tables and fields that don't exist in the new ERP, whatever. So we know, because we're designed for it and we validated all this, every single one of those pre-built report templates works for a customer on day one, immediately. No other tool in the space can say that.
Well, that's integration for sure. And that's data integration. So, what is the user experience like? I mean, we're talking something that's fully integrated in BC from the user perspective, right? You're not leaving BC per se to go out and use
Mhm.
another app.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting distinction I want to pause on too, because yes and no on that. So you can put Cosmos data into BC. So you can literally see, like, through our Power BI integration, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but you can
Oh, we are.
see Power BI reports, dashboards, all that good stuff in Business Central, in Teams and CRM. I won't spoil that fun if we're going to go down that road, but you can integrate, yes, Cosmos data and your metrics into your ERP. But the beauty of, cloud ERPs, right? It's like you're in the web browser anyways, and then you have this nice reporting tool on the next tab that integrates
Perfect.
seamlessly. It's got all your data, everything's right there. Again, I don't want to steal the Power BI thunder here that might come up later, but
It's coming up next.
yeah, it's all in one, right? I mean, you've got financial and operational reports, you've got dashboards, your user management, your data source setup, your data model. It's all in that next tab over. So just click the different tab and everything you need's there.
Yeah, and that's become the normal working mode. Is everybody's got open multiple tabs. You get onto these Teams meetings, somebody shares their desktop, and you'll see somebody with 25 tabs open in their browser. I mean, whew, that's tough.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
that is a perfect segue. You have shared with me another video that I want to roll right now. Is you had mentioned that you had recently released info about Power BI integration. So I'm going to roll that, and I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we developed here, and this is again, we don't build what we want, we build what people ask us to build. We think that's a really strong recipe for success. But we were at Directions North America last year. We had 80-ish attendees in our session, and we basically threw up three or four different things on the screen and said, show of hands, prioritize these features, these major features. It was almost unanimous. Every partner in that room said, just make Power BI usable, give us a better solution. And so what we did is we developed a two-way integration between Cosmos and Power BI. Side one of the integration is we have an API developed specifically for Power BI that allows you to hook up to your Cosmos data model instantly. That in turn means you don't have to deal with the normal stumbling points and the expensive side of Power BI, which is the data modeling. How do I get all the data wrangled? I have to write SQL code or DAX, or I have to write these custom queries, or so on and so forth, right? You don't have to do that with Cosmos. You hook it up to your same data. And the kind of bonus benefit there is, whether you're looking at an Excel-based report or a Power BI dashboard, it's one version of the truth. You're using the same data for both of those applications. You're not worrying that the finance team did one thing and our analytics folks did something else, and now we have two numbers for our sales number for January. So who did it right? You don't have to worry about that stuff. So that's side one. On the other side of the integration, we have the ability from our Cosmos portal to read the Power BI workspaces, reports, dashboards that each user in the organization has access to. Why that's important is because there's other tools that can feed their data to Power BI, but now you've got multiple tools you're juggling. And we found over the years that companies would say, look, these folks aren't highly technical. It's enough to get them to even use the reporting tool we're putting in front of them. We don't want to give them multiple reporting tools. So they don't want to say, for dashboards, go to powerbi.com and log in. For reports, go use this other tool. For these, go to Excel. So everything is in one place. Inside of Cosmos, you view your Power BI reports and dashboards. You do not leave Cosmos. And so it's truly integrated. And again, that's another good example to your previous question of how else is this integrated with Microsoft, right? That's another great example.
And that's that's one of the greatest day-to-day complaints, is when the user experience is poor, people said, "Oh, this darn system, oh, it makes me crazy."
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
focus on that user experience up front and you give it something that they're used to working, mode they're used to working in every day, and press the easy button, then they can go complain about something else. And I think that's really the beautiful part of this.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so I'm really excited about
Absolutely.
it. I'm really excited about the possibilities of what we're going to be able to deliver to our customers. And
Yeah.
honestly, I'm looking forward to all the rave reviews about how easy that is. And your team's been amazing. And even just in getting ready for this podcast, it's been a great experience to be able to collaborate and talk and get to hear what's in your brain and what your intention is and the sincerity in your voice. And I'm here to tell you, it's there, and you've already got an early fan from this ERP partner, and I'm very, very grateful. So, do you have any last thoughts for folks as we conclude here?
No, it's everything goes back to what I said early on, which is, proofs in the pudding, unfortunately, on this stuff. I can sit here and tell you it's fantastic, and I'm not going to turn your podcast into a sales pitch, right? That's not the goal. But I think what it is if you're struggling with these things, right? If you're one of those people doing the manual month-end close, or your reporting tool you're using currently is moving at a snail's pace, or if you're just considering the move to Business Central, here's what I'll tell you. We don't really consider our sales team like an actual sales team, because we show the product and we listen and we tailor it to the needs of the customer. And most of the time they move forward, right? Because they're seeing the solutions to their problems. So I always tell people, if you're interested in this, just book a demo. There's no cost. It takes no time. Talk to your partner, right? If it's a Turnkey customer, talk to Turnkey and just say, hey, I want to look at this thing. And we'll just block an hour, take you through it, show you the ins and outs, the bells and whistles, how it's going to make your life easier. And hopefully you love it. So far, everyone loves it. That's
That's
the goal.
fantastic. Yep, yep. Tell it, show it, prove it and deliver it. That's really what it's all about. Well,
Yep.
Anthony, I'm really grateful for your time today. And, we do have some more future topics planned to take deeper dives and talk more about Cosmos and what it can deliver. And I'm really looking forward to that as well. So thanks for joining us here on Turnkey 365 podcast. Folks, if you're ready to press the easy button on reporting, get in touch with us. Everything you need to know is going to be in the show notes. You can connect to Anthony. You can connect to me. You can follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube and all the great places where you can learn more. And if you're ready to see that demo, let us know. We will make it happen. And you too can take the next step, whether you're in GP and you're considering a move to BC or some other ERP, and you're thinking, hey, I want a blank canvas that also has this ability to make my reporting super simple. You let us know. That's what we're going to deliver for you. Folks, on behalf of Anthony Bonaduce from Cosmos, my name is Chuck Coxhead on the Turnkey 365 podcast. Thanks so much for playing along. We'll see you next time.